Anti-Afro Spingali's. I wanted to make sure I followed up to give you information about Dumpsy D. Durrell's most highly skilled trade, being a fraud, being unethical, and being a thief, being thirsty and being jealous. He has run multiple live streams talking all kinds of shit about me, Reb G, Nyla, and Taz. That's because he's jealous of every single person that I just mentioned. Look what he said he was going to do with Anisa, Umar Johnson's daughter, a measly 500 to 1,000. And he says he was going to do a clinical interview. So this gives me the opportunity to reinforce for you the very specific ways in which Dumpsy D. Durrell has continued to demonstrate he's top of the line, unethical, mega unethical on YouTube and off YouTube. And he has gotten into major trouble on YouTube and off YouTube because he is mega unethical in addition to being the king of Floppy. So let me tell you straight away, in connection with this post, which reflects exactly what Dumpsy D. Durrell said. He was going to, again, offer a measly 500 to 1K to clinically assess or clinically interview Anisa. So remember what I said in the last video, stating the intention is very important. You have a carrier and then you have a receiver. So in this instance, Dumpsy is the carrier, and the carrier is being very specific as to the intention, and the word that is being used is clinical. So he is stating right here, this is for a clinical purpose. He is invoking very specifically the intention to use a clinical intervention. There's the unethical move. There is the violation. Sitting around and having a panel discussion is not an ethical violation. Stating it out here in the open that it's a clinical interview is where the trouble starts. So you see here where it says solicitation of clients, which is unethical. It's a serious violation in this profession. And being specific, this profession, mental health, social services. Granted, every profession has their own definition. And I'm going to describe for you what it means to solicit clients. You are identifying a very specific person. You can either reach out to them individually, or you can let it be known publicly that you are seeking contact with someone specific and you want to provide them with some sort of mental health service. That is solicitation, and that's what Dumpsy did. That's what he said. That is unethical. That is not allowed, but that's what he did. Now, medical necessity, that is a term we use in the mental health field, which means the person has a condition that qualifies to receive mental health treatment for which you can bill for and get paid. So what Dumpsy has come on and told the world, he has determined that there is a reason for this clinical assessment. He has determined inappropriately there is something that needs an intervention, that he is going to provide it through this clinical assessment. That's medical necessity, that criteria is met by a standard through which payment can be rendered. Because you wouldn't do a clinical assessment unless it qualified for someone to submit this assessment to a billing source to get paid. This is what he's saying, that there's medical necessity. It's totally inappropriate. How the hell would you know that? 100% unethical. Now we have inappropriate fiduciary practice. Now we're reversing. He's saying he's going to pay the person he is soliciting to provide a service to. Because if you clinically assess someone or clinically interview someone, that is a service. It doesn't matter if you say you're going to pay them. That is an inappropriate fiduciary practice. We do not pay people to clinically interview them. There are exceptions. When you're talking about research, that is different. That is called human subjects, and that is a whole different protocol. There are times when psychiatrists are going through exams, they use live clients. That is a whole different protocol. There are situations when there's certain marketing that clients agree to participate in, but it's typically not active clients. There are situations when there are clients from the past and you want to use their story, you contract with them, but you change details so they can't be identified. None of that applies. He's saying outright, I'm going to pay you to clinically interview you. Oh my goodness. I can't think of anything more unethical. But let me say this, as far as the receiver, Anisa, it would be completely up to her whether she chose to accept this. Because it's always up to the person with a license to set the boundary. Because if a client came to a therapist and said, hey, I'm coming to see you, and I was supposed to go to the basketball game, and I had to give away my tickets because I'm worried if I sell them, the cops might be there. You owe me $1,500. Pay me. Obviously, a therapist would need to address that. They wouldn't reach in their pocket and pay the client. He doesn't care. He's saying he's going to pay to do a clinical interview. Far out of line, overstepping boundaries. This is what Dempsey is saying. This is what Dempsey is doing. So let's go to dual relationship. Dempsey met Umar once. He jumped up in Umar's face. Umar did a fist bump. They took a picture together. And then what happened? Nothing. Well, something happened. I'll explain this another issue in a minute. So he's already met someone in her family that is a dual relationship. You can't provide services individually to two family members. The only exception with that would be you're going through couples therapy, you're in family therapy, you're starting at the same time, or you're in a collateral relationship and it's essential to the treatment. None of those issues apply. How long ago did Dempsey interact with Umar as far as meeting him? And there's another element to it that I'm going to describe. This is a dual relationship. It's inappropriate. 100% inappropriate to even think in your head that there be any element that this could fly and he's supposed to be okay with it. What in the hell goes through that pea brain? I don't even want to stop and ponder the thought. So, of course, conflict of interest goes even further when we talk about how much money Dempsey paid Umar. He kept paying and paying and paying and paying and paying, hoping Umar was going to pay him attention, and Umar never did. He was deep into talking about Umar. He kept paying Umar, hoping he would get mentioned, and he never did. But now he's going to turn around and start paying the daughter. Oh my goodness, this is a serious conflict of interest if ever there was one. But he wants to do a clinical assessment on the daughter of the man he's been talking about and he has been invoking in a professional context. This is considered a professional approach of trying to provide a service. It's not a sit down, just hosting a panel without an invocation of a title under which you're providing the service. This is what Dempsey is doing. He led with a title. I'm going to do a clinical assessment and I'm going to pay you $500 to $1,000. What happened to the big money I thought Dempsey said he had? What happened to the big money? I'll tell you what happened to the big money. His wife had to move back into the house because he's run out of money. Did you hear about the car? Remember he was bragging about a car that he bought his son or a truck or something like that? It got repoed from the college. he's got he's got money problems. He's got money problems. That's why he's so pissed that everyone else around him seems to be flying high and he has limited opportunities to steal money. He used to steal money like it was nobody's business until he got busted. He has no options. He's out of options. So he was going to go with this conflict of interest. And then you have unlicensed practice. If you are living in one state and someone lives in another state, you are not allowed to provide services. Even if there's reciprocity between states, you still have to go through stages to get confirmation that everything is clear before you even speak to the person. You have to go through the licensing board in that state, then you got to get clearance in your state before you can even provide any type of service. You shouldn't even be speaking to the person. So he is committing horrendous ethical violations, even entertaining these discussions. What is he going to do? Hop in the car and drive to another state? That's quadruple illegal. And it could be potentially even more serious if he thinks about doing this online. That would be a telehealth violation. Telehealth, people don't understand the telehealth law unless you are providing services. Even on the receiving end, some people may not understand how strict telehealth law is. You cannot provide telehealth services through your regular cell phone. There are certain means and mechanisms by which you can provide telehealth through. You can't do it by a regular cell phone. It has to be a secure line. And there are criteria. So you can't just pick up a phone and do a clinical interview, your regular phone. It has to be a authorized setup in order to be able to provide any sort of service. So he's prepared to violate the telehealth laws as well. You know good and damn well Dempsey was not going to be using any authorized materials, electronic equipment to provide the telehealth services. And what in the hell was he going to do with the information? Again, the receiving person on the other end can agree all day long. That person would have no culpability. That person would be harmed. Would that person be told what would happen to the information? What is he going to do? Come in here and share it with everybody? And let me tell you, if information was shared, that would have to be a release sign. But it wouldn't be legal anyway to perform the assessment. And let's say, for example, it went forward. Money was paid. Do you know how much trouble Dempsey would be in? The person on the receiving end would definitely have his license and be able to collect through the malpractice insurance if he even has an active policy, which I seriously doubt, so they would have to go to civil court. I personally don't even think he's practicing. Dempsey goes live in that office. You can tell he's not doing any work in there. He's just trying to flex, pretending he's working in that office. He went live and he had Umar Johnson's father in there. He's just trying to show off. He doesn't have any clients. If he had any clients, how in the hell would you be thinking about doing a clinical assessment on someone who's not even in a client track with you? Who has time to do that? He's not doing any notes. He's not doing any assessments. He's not doing any follow-ups. He's not making any phone calls. Nobody else can really make your phone calls for you. You can't have somebody really making phone calls outside of scheduling appointments, not checking up on clients, you're not going to hospitals, you're not sitting in meetings, you're not on Zoom, you're not doing any consultations, you're not doing any. How the hell do you have time to sit around and say, okay, I'm going to go assess someone who isn't even your client? He doesn't have any clients, people. There's no way anybody working in this field is going to jump up and say, okay, I'm just going to go and do an assessment on somebody that's not my client. Dempsey is a fraud. Do you understand me, folks? A fraud. He cannot stand the fact that other people are being seen, other people are being heard. And I hope to God that if Dempsey ever has the nerve to even try to pull something off like this, it will be incredibly damaging. And you had best believe I will be the first person to let Anisa know where she can file her complaint, because this is incredibly damaging. I personally don't believe that she would even consider it, because in order to do an appropriate assessment, you have to get so much information from a person. And you know he wouldn't keep anything confidential even if he said he would. But the whole purpose to get the assessment is to go and blab about it. And I doubt he even knows how to do an assessment, because all of those times that he said he was working, he wasn't working. He was lying. He was collecting money after saying he was providing services and wasn't doing it. He's so out of touch with the modern day practices. You can tell by the way he speaks. It's like Umar, not really working in the field or not working in the field at all, using the archaic language. And the fact that he would even say anything like this is proof positive he's not currently working in the mental health field, providing services. You would not even think about coming up with an idea like this. I wanted to make sure I came on here and showed you specifically how Dempsey continues to do what Dempsey does. Unethical bullshit, lying, jealous, envy. Just continue repeating the same old bullshit in failure mode, in floppy junk mode. He has to try to see where he can get attention and focus, because he doesn't have it like that, and he never did. And he knows Tiff P is correct and spilling all of those beans, telling all his business, because she found out he was also a fraud. Ain't got it like that. Giving people advice about businesses and taxes when his shit got shut down because he wasn't paying the taxes. The wife had to move back in because they can't afford the second apartment anymore. And the car that he was bragging about got repossessed. All talk, literally all talk, and no action. The story of his life, the floppy arms and the floppy junk. All he can do is talk shit about other people because he ain't got it like that. He never has, and he never will. Proof positive again of all this unethical garbage he's trying to shove around and let people think he knows what he's doing. He doesn't know what he was doing. He would never even think about anything like this if he gave a damn about anybody but himself. He's just trying to say, oh, I can beat them. I can top that. Oh, God, don't compete. Because his competition just puts people at risk. It exploits people. Makes it worse. All the while, he has to try to figure out, how can I get on top? How can I beat them? You can't. You're a loser, just like those other freaks. Ruined his own career because he wanted to have a situation where he thought he was going to be bigger and better, because he's trying to make up for the floppy junk problems on YouTube. Coming on here telling everybody what they're about, when we saw as time went on, he was only talking about himself. The more he runs his mouth, the more you saw every criticism that he leveled against people, all the lies he told against people, was nothing but him looking in the mirror and reciting every episode he experienced in his life. Every single thing. He tried to pass it on to other people, but it belongs to Dumpsy. It's all his junk, all his floppy junk. Listen, folks, you know I got more coming your way. In the meantime, you know the drill. Buyer beware.